Okay, welcome back. Our guest this morning, Professor Babafemi A. Badejo, used to be with the UN mission in Darfur, Sudan, and we also have in studio that the professor is joining us, remotely, and we have in studio Dr. Dan Ekere of the Philosophy Department of the University of Lagos. And just before we went on break, Professor Badejo was explaining it's a very complex issue. And I had asked if it was a matter of interest, and he said it's, interest, external interest is one thing, but perhaps it's a lot more complex than that. You were saying, Prof, before I had to go on break.
Well, I was just trying to point out that this is not the first time we are going to have conflicts on the continent of Africa. And normally at the beginning of every conflict, we get excited the way we are excited, talking and talking and talking. And nobody is saying we should do nothing. Of course, people will continue to try as we face what we call in peacemaking, forum shopping. Forum shopping meaning everybody wanting to appear to be helping, even enemies that want the crisis to continue will step into the frame and say that we want to help. When I was dealing with the situation of Darfur, not to talk about Somalia, that still continues since 1990, but we have now gotten used to the problems of Somalia that we hardly talk about it anymore. But in Darfur, it was very clear that as the United Nations and the African Union was putting every effort into trying to make peace with the those that were tagged as rebel groups, and the UN wasn't used such terms for them. They were movements, and you find out that you want to reach an agreement with these people, they will still check with whoever their sponsors are. And in some situations, when you thought that you have an agreement, there was a case in which we, by accident, were listening to one of the warlords taking instruction from the principal, who I wouldn't mention, about the fact that a Nigerian was heading the mission, Dr. Martin Huomoibi. And we listened as they were talking on the phone and getting instruction. All that will be happening in this situation. Nobody is sitting on the fence. Russia is as much involved as China, even though the Chinese tend to be a little bit more quiet. But the Russian and the Americans with the UK, now you have the Quad. Yes. The Quad took them to Jeddah for this humanitarian negotiation. And the Quad is made up of UAE, Saudi Arabia, United States, and the UK. And then they had pushed aside the IGAD people, that African Union and its the chairman of the commission were supporting. And of course, when you don't have that unity of purpose by the different people who are wanting to negotiate this and negotiate that, you find that the combatants start doing forum shopping, and they make money from this forum shopping, even though I will not say the kind of money involved is of the magnitude that should let it continue. What tends to make it easy to end a conflict is when one is able to reasonably defeat the other at the war front, and as a result of such defeat, international assistance comes in by way of trying to assuage the egos of the one that has been defeated. Mm-hmm. In crisis that we've been able to solve, you go and look at Mozambique, go and look at Liberia, Zimbabwe, Liberia, Sierra Leone, some of those that have raged for long. Look at Cote d'Ivoire. It was when Gbagbo was driven out of town that Alassane Ouattara was able to come in and take charge, supported by ECOWAS and the rest of the world.
Okay.
Now he's at peace.
Excuse me, Prof. A viewer, as you know, our program is an interactive one. A viewer has called in. Mr. George, good morning to you, and apologies for keeping you waiting. Please go ahead now.
To that professor, Uncle Yori, I listened to the harrowing experiences relayed by some of the returnees. And the first thing that came to my mind was those who are drumming the beats of war in Nigeria. They should listen to those harrowing experiences. Just because they lost elections, they want Nigeria to go into war. They should listen to these people or probably talk to those who witnessed the Biafran war. This is not a full-blown war. It's not yet a full-blown war, and you can see casualties and experiences of people. So the lesson is that war is not a good situation, and it's not something any right-thinking person should be promoting. I want to talk about the aspect of evacuation of Nigerians in situations like this, Uncle Yori, because I watched this one of the Sudanese situation, and I saw how the previous ones were handled. IKEJA of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. You saw how she has been handling this thing. She handled the one of Ukraine seamlessly. But this of Sudan, the government involved so many agencies, NEMA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then so many like that, emergency ministry and all the rest. She wasn't given the free hand to handle it. That's why you saw all those costs that came up. I think it should be clearly defined. In situations like this, let that lady handle the thing and let it be as seamless as possible. It's just a recommendation.
Well,
good morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. George. Fine morning to you. Let me return to you briefly, Prof, before I ask Dr. Ekere another question. Because of the suggestion made by that caller, Mr. George, who called in from Lagos, noticing that from his summary, there was a difference. He felt that the Diaspora Commission was very much on top of their game in the case of Ukraine and receiving back our nationals. But here, he opined that there were other agencies interfering and probably making matters not as smooth as they might have been. I think I'm asking for your impression on that question.
Well, it is always very well said that too many cooks spoil the broth. And in our situation, I don't think that it is for the goodness of the nation that we have all these people who are involved in trying to solve a problem. Why do we have an ambassador? The foreign ministry deals with external affairs of the country, and when necessary, you immediately second people, our Air Force, humanitarian people, and all the rest of it to assist the ambassador, alert the neighboring embassies, and everything will be done. But the ambassador himself was crying. I don't know if you saw the video, the audio that he put out, trying to plead with the students not to target his staff or himself because he is as stranded as they are, because the madam of the, you remember that madam, when they took away the humanitarian affairs from Shimbaju and created the place for madam, the madam and the NEMA awarded the contracts for the buses from Abuja. The ambassador put that on the line. He told all of us that he's knowing nothing about it. So if buses are stopping in the desert and saying they are not paid, then you know where the problem is coming from. But we never want to talk about some of these things. I don't think that you should be appointing ambassadors into countries if you are going to create other people who are going to be controlling what they are doing. It never works.
Okay. Okay. One moment.
Whether IKEJA or whoever.
Okay. Dan, would you like to weigh in on this matter?
Yeah.
Because as Prof said, too many cooks can indeed spoil the broth.
Exactly. And truly, you begin to ask, what exactly is the role of, the foreign ministry, who that is superintends, over the affairs of all the, foreign bodies. We have an ambassador in Sudan. What is his role? What should be his responsibility in times like this? So all of that need to be factored into this. And I think that it's a function of how, they assign roles that will create the problem that we now experience. But again, the call the caller made that there is war somewhere will not stop, or war from coming. That, criminals are being killed does not mean people will not commit crime. What matters really is how people deal with people. Particularly, it's a question of how governments perform in their various domains, because that will create room either for people to become criminally minded or become loyal to the state. So we must begin to address the issue of governance very seriously, because until that is done, if you like, in China, where they even kill people for crime, whatever, it has not stopped. They are so criminally minded.
Yes.
So it doesn't stop it, really.
Yes. But so the big danger now, as Professor Badejo said earlier, was that we're looking at a possible failure of the state here.
Exactly.
If we're not careful. Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guest.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, please.
As honestly, the federal government made a mistake right from the word go. Crisis upon crisis in Sudan was to be solved by the ambassador in Sudan, not minister or DG or anything in Nigeria. The ambassador in Sudan knows the territory or the environment that's supposed to do and what to do. That is what made the federal government play the guy from the first go. Now, do you know, are you aware that those paramilitary guys support groups?
The RSS, the Rapid Support Front guys.
That came to fight in that Sudan. Two generals fighting. What are they fighting? Because of oil blog. But the thing is that the kind of boys they are producing now will go to Africa after the crisis. So Africa, even the Arab world that is meeting in Saudi Arabia today and US, they are going there for only humanitarian problem solving. That is all. But the main crisis, they are not discussing it, which is very, very detrimental to African Union. If African Union cannot use the opportunity and solve that problem there in Saudi Arabia, I bet you Africa is going to be created with those rebels in Sudan after the crisis. And that's whether the crisis will end in 3 months' time or 4 months' time. So Africa Union will solve the problem day or night. If they don't solve it, forget it. But all these things we are facing a very time bomb.
Okay, at least thank God that Mazi Okorafor got most of it out. Returning to you, Prof, you had explained how those people, the people in Sudan might be seen to be, some might see them as being disdainful of institutions like the African Union. But we can't just leave everything, and I understand it from the way you explained it, since it's all about leverage and what leverage does any of those people have. What has the African Union even done for the rest of Africa, in any case, might be the way that some might look at it. But as dire a situation as it is, it's scary, actually, because as both you gentlemen have also explained that it's not a matter of it might spread, it definitely will if care is not taken. Then people who are sitting down in the comfort of their sitting room watching television now and taking such a privilege for granted might actually find that, as the Yoruba people say, there is more than one world.
Well, you are very, very right. And I am not throwing out the role of the African Union, the United Nations, IGAD. All these are bound to be trying as best as possible. But a situation in which the two parties are being supported externally to continue waxing strong will not solve the problem. Perhaps it's to diplomatically be approaching the different powers that are supporting all this to reduce the inflow of arms and armaments into Sudan, to allow a situation where it becomes clearer for one side as not going to, right now, both sides still thinking that they can dislodge the other, and they are not going to give up until it is clear to one side that, wow, I am losing and now need. Like happened in Ethiopia, it was clear that the federal government had seriously dented the capacity of the Tigray government, and it was then possible to bring them together to negotiate the concerns of the Tigray people, the concerns of the federal government, in order to solve that problem.
Okay. Well, I beg your pardon, sir. Yet again, I beg your pardon. Yet again, I've got to interrupt you. Forgive me for doing so. Sulaiman in Lagos. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Yes. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I thought the professor is just talking. Okay. Let me go ahead. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Sulaiman. Do you have a question or an observation to make on the situation?
An observation as regards what you guys are talking about. First of all, what is happening in Sudan, I would like to say to Nigerians, hello.
We can hear you, Sulaiman.
I would like to talk to Nigerians that what is happening in Sudan, if there is not taken, we pray that it should not happen in Nigeria. As regards the word they are talking about the election, this is just it's supposed to be showing what is happening in Sudan for Nigerians to be seen, so that people will just take good care of themselves, that we don't need war in Nigeria, we need peace. And secondly, as regards the ambassador appointment, they're supposed to pick the people that know about this job. They should not be saying that this is my political party member. Let's put technical people that knows about it. Like what they are saying that the ambassador was saying that they should not attack my family. I don't know anything about it. He's supposed to be in charge of this office. Not that they'll just go and bring someone that don't know anything about it and now be saying that I don't know anything about it. They're supposed to pick people that know about this job. Let's appoint technocrats, not people that is my party member. Let's compensate him.
Okay.
We cannot move anywhere with that.
All right. Thank you.
That's my submission.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman. So Dr. Kere, I mean, clearly we can't just fold our arms. It looks like it's stacked against, against the purposes of peace. But nevertheless, we still have to move. And I'm happy that Prof said that, look, in spite of what he might have said in relation to other, that does not mean that he's throwing out entirely the UN, AU, and all of these people.
Yeah, that's the way it is. After all, what are they existing for? What are those bodies for? It's for days like this, things like this. They are to take care of situations of this kind, to even prevent. And now the thing has happened. They have to find a way of solving the problem. So we can't.
The Prof explained that it's easier for professionals to broker peace when it is clear that one side is weaker.
Exactly.
But right now, I think again, Prof suggested that which side is thinking that it can dislodge the other.
Exactly. But that will always, it's just like somebody going into a political contest. The assumption has always been that you will win. So everybody goes there with that air of, capacity to excel and all the rest. Until you are properly decimated to the point that you now begin to feel the effect, then you begin to listen to, a series of advice from here and there. Now, in this situation, but we can't continue, just watch and see and wait till one will be so decimated.
No.
To the point that it will begin to, in a way, look for an avenue to just come in for negotiation. Something has to be done.
Indeed.
Efforts have to be put in. This is the time for us to show that we actually, have strategies. The AU, the various countries of Africa, but I want to believe that some persons should actually provide some form of leadership beyond the issue of Yes. Then the United Nations as well, what is it there for? Is it until the entire Sudan is wiped out before they will begin to intervene? So these are issues. And they know those external factors as well. So they need to do something about it.
Prof, finally now, what can Nigeria do in view of its, well, first of all, its position in Africa, and everybody looks towards Africa. There's no how anything is going on in Africa that you won't want Nigeria's opinion or input or concept of the whole matter. But now, in this juncture Nigeria is in, I don't know if it's similar. The Americans refer to this kind of a juncture as a lame duck. They refer to presidents as lame ducks. Is President Buhari, in that sense, a lame duck, not being able to contribute to this because he's out of here by the 29th? Is Nigeria really weak in what it can do, and the president-elect cannot really begin to, speak like a president yet until? So, where is Nigeria in all of this?
I want to say to my friend that I'm not saying do nothing, but I'm just pointing out realistically. Of course, there is always it's possible to keep having activities without action.
Yes,
that's not that's normal, and it is done. The African Union chairman can make statements and say that we are speaking to them, we are talking to them, even if he's not talking to them. That's okay. That's okay. Those kind of things can continue.
Oh dear.
But with respect to the question you asked, Nigeria became irrelevant long ago. We are not talking about Nigeria of the time of Murtala Muhammad, Olusegun Obasanjo, and then we can go further back, and then the attempt of Olusegun Obasanjo again coming in, trying to make Nigeria a bit more relevant again. I don't think that we have the clout internationally that Nigeria continues to dream about. Those days when they will send messages to go, but okay, whether the incoming president is going to do that, I don't know, because the incoming president has not shown a lot of appetite for foreign policy either in his campaign or his disposition so far. But all that may change by the time he sees the reality and links some of that reality to his capacity to be able to achieve in Nigeria. So maybe he will be able to do some of that.
Maybe.
But yes,
we're going to have to leave it there, Prof. Forgive me, Prof. I've been so rude this morning, always butting in, but forgive me. It's not me.
No problem. I can understand.
Yes. So I want to thank you. We're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you very much. We leave it on that maybe note. And it's interesting that the Prof pointed out that, well, the president-elect, as far as he's been able to observe, hasn't shown much appetite for, foreign policy yet. But maybe all of that will change once it's sworn in. He won't have a choice. Thank you very much, Professor Babafemi A. Badejo, formerly of the UN mission in Darfur, and also appreciation to you, Dr. Dan Ekere, lecturer, Philosophy Department, University of Lagos.
Thank you.
That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Polarin. Bye-bye for now.